Good evening. It's Thursday, May 20th, 2021, and coming to you live from the Lonely Tree Media Studios in Yakima, Washington. This is the Best Lamm Sports Show, NBA basketball playoff preview. I'm your host, David Lamm. With me, as always, is my son, Parker. Say hello, Parker.
What's going on, everybody?
So, yeah. Because,
Sweet.
Right?
I get the applause every time.
The
It feels
big
good.
one. The long one. Because people are excited about it.
Not that many people have ever come to see me do anything.
Well,
I don't do anything cool enough to deal with that many people.
Well, our studio audience is pretty happy to see you every week. So
Fair enough.
That's a big plus. We are live streaming on YouTube. We're on Twitter at Lamm Sports, on Facebook under the Best Lamm Sports Show. You can send us an email, lambsports@gmail.com, and please check out our webpage, www.lambsports.com. You can find links to the past shows, and the current trivia question is on there. There will not be a trivia question today. I know everyone's disappointed because that's why you listen, but just got too much to talk about. We're going to move along and talk about other stuff. So, fair. I mean, we got to do stuff when you got to.
Sometimes there's just no time to ask questions.
Sometimes there's just,
no time to ask questions. There is such thing as a dumb question. Today, we're not going to ask one.
That sounded weird when you said it, and I'm not 100% certain what we just said.
Fair enough.
I gotta find my stuff here. Okay, so first part of the show is always brought to you by the Range in Yakima. Let me slow down. First part of the show is brought to you by the Range in Yakima. The Range is Central Washington's premier indoor shooting destination at 34,000 square feet. The Range is an all-inclusive facility offering firearm training, retail firearm sales and supplies, full gunsmithing and repairs, custom builds, and Cerakote services all under one roof. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 7, Sunday 11 to 5. Go see our friends at the Range, 1701 Garrettson Lane in Yakima. The phone number is 509-571-1449. Make sure you mention the Best Lamm Sports Show, the Range, educate, equip, and empower. So, what are we going to talk about today, Parker?
Playoffs.
Talking
about playoffs? I see the picture.
Talking about playoffs? I figure, what better spokesman for playoffs than Jim Mora? And one of the classic quotes. We're going to have classic quotes as soon as the playoffs are over, by the way. We're going to have a whole episode on classic sports quotes. Maybe a countdown of the 10 best sports quotes of all time. I think that'd be perfect. What do you think?
And this will be in there for sure.
Playoffs has to be in there. I just don't know where because there's some other good ones, right? I mean, what are we talking about here? We're talking about practice.
Right. I'm a man. I'm 40.
There's some good stuff out there. We're just going to have to dredge them up. So I'm going to talk about playoffs, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. We also have a few other things that we're going to sneak in at the beginning, but we're going to get right to it. There's no trivia question this week. The trivia question is normally brought to you by Stave & Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. Just want to get a plug out there for them. But we're going to go right into WNBA, actually, is where we're going to start. I know that's not our normal starting point, but we got to talk about the WNBA. The New York Liberty, off to their first ever 3-0 start, thanks in large part to former Oregon Ducks standout Sabrina Ionescu. Ionescu had a triple-double against the Minnesota Lynx on Tuesday night, going for 26 points, 10 boards, and 12 assists. It was the first triple-double in Liberty history, and she became the youngest WNBA player to ever record a triple-double.
It's the 9th all time. They've only had 8 other triple doubles.
Well, I feel like, that's all she did in college, right? So there's going to be a whole bunch more. She's going to be like the all-time leader in triple doubles in the NBA in a year.
If she I think it's 5. I think 5's the record.
5. Are we talking Lisa Leslie, or what are we talking here?
I think somebody influential in women's basketball, but I think 5's the record, and if, like you said, if her pass is anything to look forward to, she's going to have 20 this year.
I mean, 3 games in, she's got 1. So
right, that's a good start.
That's a pretty good start. And also, just for fun, she also, if I can get to it here, she also did this on opening night.
Ball inbound to Kylie Shooks. 4 seconds left. Ionescu, a long 3 for the win, and she gets it! Sabrina Ionescu at the buzzer! 0.4 seconds left. Sabrina Ionescu
hits the game winner at the buzzer to beat the Indiana Fever, and the surprise looks it was the best part was when you could see the bench for Indiana, the surprised look on their face of, whoa, she did what? And it was so good. Um, that was NBA quality crap. You know what I mean? You see that in the
Yeah,
NBA on a
in
regular
terms
basis.
of in terms of entertainment, it was pretty good. I knock LeBron and a bunch of other guys for this all the time, which is you hit a three when you're tied.
Oh,
Like that's I knock you a little bit for that because it's a riskless three.
it's true.
Doesn't you have if this goes in, great. If it doesn't, no big deal. We keep going. It's a much more loose three to shoot. So if I'm gonna knock LeBron for it, I got to be equal and say this wasn't as skilled as some others, but this defender was on her.
Yeah, it was a good, well, and let's be fair, it was a foul. It was a moving screen that freed her to get open. So,
well, there was one of those that freed up Dame a couple years ago to beat Houston. So I get it.
You still have to make the shot, and it's still impressive, and it's still a lot of pressure for someone who's playing at that point, playing in her fourth WNBA game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's pretty incredible.
So yeah. Anyway, so Liberty off and flying. They're on top of the league. I just wanted to get that out there. MLS. We got to talk about the MLS a little bit. The Timbers, right? They have 6 points right now, which is not great. They're 2 and 3, and
not good.
They're currently 9th in the Western Conference. But they did have a 2-0 victory over San Jose on Saturday. Yimi Chara and Marvin Loria each scored their first goals of the season to lift them to that 2-0 win on the road. The Timbers host the LA Galaxy on Saturday at 12:30 Pacific. It's on ABC and ESPN Deportes if you're watching in Spanish. Timbers, I mean, it's still too early to tell, and Timbers do this almost all the time, is that they start out kind of meh, and then they catch fire somewhere. And
then they make a big old ruckus going into the playoffs.
A big old ruckus, and then we'll figure it out from there. Here's something we want to talk about, kind of a big deal, and I don't know how quite to start this, but I want to show you a clip of what happened, and we're going to talk about something in Major League Baseball that we talked about off the air, and we probably need to do it to address it because this is what we do, put our 2 cents in on everything. So let me get it up, and that way we can be ready. Let me set the stage for you here. The score of this Major League Baseball game you're about to see, the clip you're about to see, and we can move it over here. The score currently, top of the 9th inning, is what? It's 14-5. It's 15-4.
Yeah.
15-4 White Sox. They're beating the Twins. Top of the 9th.
Smoking them.
On the mound, is not a pitcher. It is. Gosh, why can't I? It's Williams. I can't think of his name. Williams Astudillo. He's a journeyman infielder. Plays a whole bunch of infielders, but he's pitching because they're getting crushed and they're running out of pitching arms. So why not throw a pitcher?
Or they don't want to waste pitching arms.
Well, that's true too. That is absolutely true. We don't want to waste on a game we're losing. Obviously going to lose.
Right.
Yermin Mercedes is at the plate for the White Sox. Up 11 runs in the top of the 9th inning, and this happens.
For Astudillo. Oh, he loaded up. Mercedes tattoos it to center. It is gone.
There you go.
A 3-0 swing. And it's 16-4.
So that's what we're going to talk about right now, is the fact that it was a 3-0 swing. And this is the second time it's happened this year already, that we've had a team well ahead with a batter at 3-0 who swung at a pitch.
Yeah.
This one ended up being a solo homer.
The last game was closer. Last time it happened, it was closer than this one.
I think it was 9, though.
You mean a 9-run differential?
Yeah, I think it was 9-run lead or something.
Oh, I thought, because that was Tatis, and I thought I thought they had 9. It was like 9-3.
No, I think it was. Well, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it ended up being a 9-run lead. I don't know. They were ahead.
Possibly,
They were ahead, and it was the 9th inning, and it was.
Yeah.
But so the ruckus now becomes the people, the traditionalists, the purists of baseball, who will tell you don't swing 3-0 when you're up 11 runs in the 9th inning,
right? Because
there's no reason. You don't need any more runs. What was your take initially? The first time you had an opinion the first time when you saw Tatis do it. Now that you've seen Mercedes do it also, how do you feel about it?
So the first time I saw it, when Tatis did it, my initial reaction was, good for him, man. Lay that weak crap down here. Take it all the way out. And that was my reaction. there came to be there's one point that people can make, which is on a 3-0, you don't have to take that swing. You don't. You'd have to take it on a 3-2, but you don't have to take it on a 3-0. You can let that strike go by and watch it and kind of get a feel for maybe what the next one might be. That's the best argument for it, is that it's almost an unnecessary swing. So I saw it. I was like, good for him. Somebody, I think it was you told me that kind of opinion on it, which is that you don't really need to do this, not because of the score, but because there's another pitch coming, and you don't need this one because they're gonna have to try and strike you out one way or another. And so I was like, I kind of get that, but it's still a little weak. And so when I saw this one and he did it, when he laid just that watermelon that he tried to lob across the plate, and this dude hit it with every bit of strength that this big boy has and sent it all the way out. I thought this one was kind of funny. The last one, you could say about you could say it was amped you up, or you could say it was disrespectful, but this one was kind of funny. I mean, this dude he might as well have underhanded this throw. It was that slow.
It was 47 miles an hour officially is what they clocked it at. So this is not by any stretch a fastball. This is not even a little league fastball.
No, this is nothing.
This was nothing.
This is nothing.
And so two things come to mind. Is number one is he has done this before. Astudillo has pitched before and gotten guys out with that same pitch.
Right.
And it's hard to hit when you're a professional baseball player and you're used to seeing 80, 90 mile an hour fastball. Even the slider and curve are 70 to 80 at that point.
It's just confusing.
It's hard to time that pitch when you don't see it.
You said you get used to throwing at swinging with a second or half a second, and now you're trying to swing it a second and a half,
right,
or 2 seconds, and it gets in your head.
It takes a long time for that ball to get there, and so it's really hard to do. So the fact that he crushed it like that, more power to him. But
it's kind of cool.
But also, why are you throwing that? Because you can't throw a fastball, or I mean, if you try and show me up by tossing a little lob across the plate and get a strike, or get me out, I'm kind of angry about that. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be trying to just lob. Oh, here, I'm going to lob this in here on 3-0, and I don't expect you to swing at it because I want to, you're ahead. Well, that's not okay either. I mean, I feel like you knew the game was over, or you wouldn't be pitching an infielder.
Well, see, and you can talk about losing with grace all you want. Those basketball players who are just kind of dribbling out the last maybe 2 or 3 possessions and not playing defense when they come down the court, just letting them score so that way they can get the ball back and then do it again. You can talk about that all you want, but baseball is a little different because it's really a one-on-one scenario. And I mean, so the other option is that I step out of the box and let you get an out, or I stand there with the bat at my side and let you just toss 3 down the middle so we can end this game sooner. I mean, but all of these seem contrary to every bit of competitiveness you're ever taught to exude when playing sports.
Right.
It just runs counter to that idea, and I get that it's a historically prevalent thing, which is what La Russa had a problem with.
So yeah, White Sox manager Tony La Russa said he was actually giving Mercedes the take sign and even yelled "take" at him before that pitch, or during that pitch. I don't know. But
ignoring your manager is another story. That you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, that's going to get you some fine.
But the fact that he's telling you that,
right,
is why we're talking about it to begin with.
So what the reason why there's such an uproar or a frustration, and why people like older coaches will tell you that you need to take that pitch, not just the sportsmanship issue, it's the retaliation that's coming, and that's why, because what you did can put one of your teammates in jeopardy. It really can. So what ended up happening was on Tuesday. So this happened on Monday. This happened on Monday. And on Tuesday, Twins reliever Tyler Duffy gets to face Yermin Mercedes in the top of the 7th, and he threw a pitch behind him. And I mean all the way behind him, which is the clear indication of, I'm not trying to hit you, but I'm sending you a message that was not okay.
Knock that crap off sign.
And so the minute you throw it behind the guy, you get ejected. So this pitcher gets ejected. The manager, Rocco Baldelli, who came out for the Twins, he got ejected as well because, I mean, you don't really have a leg to stand on when your pitcher throws behind a guy, but he's angry from the night before. And so I feel like throwing that pitcher out was not exactly the right thing to do. I mean, but you have to, because it'll just lead to more crap, and we don't want the more.
He did something very obviously and very intentionally dangerous.
Well, throwing it behind a guy is not really dangerous unless he jumps out of the way real quick, but he's not going to do that.
Well, I'm just saying if there's a cop standing over here and I walk up to somebody in front of that cop and say, I'm going to beat your butt. That cop has the liability to step in and go, no, you're not. You're going to knock that crap off right now. Go home.
I feel like if
that's what the referee just did in this instance. Duffy said, hey, I'm gonna plunk you with the next one, and the referee's like, nah, get out of here.
I feel like if you said that exact verbiage to a cop, I feel like he'd laugh at you. But that's just
I was trying to be somewhat PG. I haven't had enough alcohol.
I'm gonna beat your butt
to go full R yet.
Anyway, I mean, all right. And so, should we care about this? Is this a thing? Should we even worry about it? Is this whole thing overrated and we should just get rid of that idea of sportsmanship in sports in general? Or is it something, I mean, there's a different level of sportsmanship, I guess, for other sports or different plays, you know what I mean? Where you're trying to do the right thing so someone doesn't get hurt. But that's really what you're supposed to be doing here too, is doing the right thing so someone else doesn't get hurt. Because honestly, the next pitcher could come up and throw a fastball right in your ear hole. You know what I mean?
We saw it happen to Pilar.
Yeah.
So he caught a fastball in the face. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it's that, that one. And honestly, if you throw a fastball inside and you hit a guy, that's harder to throw someone out for because you can honestly say that slipped. When you throw it behind him, not so much.
You're a professional. It shouldn't go 10 feet that way.
Yeah.
Like that's a long way. And is it a big deal? It shouldn't be. It absolutely shouldn't be. But you have the guys doing it. All right. They're starting quote so all right. Well, I guess that's not even true. You have the people who made the unwritten rule.
Right.
All right. That's how it started. Somewhere back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, old head baseball. That's where it started. And some of those people are not out of the game yet. Or their students are not out of the game yet. It hasn't been diluted enough through time as a rule to kind of go away. That's the issue that you're running into, is that there's a couple people, La Russa came out and said he didn't have a problem with their response.
Right.
Of them throwing behind him. That's preposterous.
Well,
that's your player out there.
That's because he knew that his guy did something wrong.
Right. He knew that his guy did something wrong based on the old ways.
Right.
How it was in the old world of baseball, which he was a part of, very much a part of.
Yeah.
And so he knows those rules, and that's disrespectful. So guess what, son? Next time up, they're going to throw the ball at you, and I'm not going to care. Yeah. That makes you an old school manager, and there's less and less room for him, unfortunately. The sports are getting too competitive to have gentlemen's rules. You talked about throwing sportsmanship out the window. I don't think it's about that. I think it's about during the course of a game, there's no friends. Oh. We're not here to be cool to each other. We're not here to be friends to each other. We're going to play 4 quarters of football or 4 periods of basketball or 3 periods of hockey, or we're going to play 9 innings of baseball. And during that time, I don't like you.
Right.
And afterward, we'll shake hands and we'll be best buds and we'll post on Instagram on banana boats like LeBron and Chris Paul. But during that time, we are not friends. So if you're going to lob some meat in there for me, I'm going to take a bite. And that's it.
Yeah. All right. So I don't know. It's kind of overblown, I think, in both directions. I think you're both wrong. Your pitcher and your batter. You know what I mean? For the way they do it, but it's all right.
I think the thing the batter's most wrong about is ignoring the manager. If the manager tells you to take it, you'd assume he knows best. Absolutely. Just listen to your DM manager.
That's a kind of a thing. I mean, you don't follow directions.
But if your manager said take it, and you took it, there's nothing wrong with what the batter did then. Now it's all just about, is the pitcher too sensitive to deal at this moment?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, and you were going to get a 3-1 pitch, and if you let that one go, you're going to get a 3-2 pitch. So there's more pitches coming.
There is more pitches coming. Yeah.
Yeah. So you always going to anyway. Let's move to Formula One real quick. We got to do our Formula One minute, which isn't quite a whole minute, but
sure.
Formula One is at Monaco this week. The Monaco Grand Prix, one of the most beautiful venues on the circuit, but not necessarily one of the best races, from what I'm being told. I've never actually watched a whole Monaco Grand Prix, only bits and pieces. So this is going to be my first one that I've actually watched the whole thing. And from what I'm told, qualifying is everything. Whoever qualifies first has a really good chance to win the race because there's not many places to pass. So
sure,
that makes it makes you want to watch qualifying on Saturday at 5:55 a.m. By the way, um, that's when qualifying is, and the race is actually Sunday at 5:55 a.m. And I don't advise anybody to get up early. I mean, I'm up that early, so it really doesn't matter. But I don't advise anybody to get up early. Just record it. I mean, doesn't anybody have TiVo?
Sure.
Does anybody have TiVo
I don't
still?
think TiVo is even like a company anymore.
I don't think so either. I'm just saying. If you don't, you should go get TiVo. Anyway, Lewis Hamilton's the season points leader so far, 94 points after winning the Spanish Grand Prix. Max Verstappen is second with 80 points. So record it and watch it. You'll love it. I promise. If nothing else, it's just beautiful to watch. So, NHL. It's happening right now. You still there?
DVR.
DVR?
Yeah, I'm here now.
No, you're cutting out on me a little bit. So
DVR, yeah. DVR is a big deal.
DVR, yeah. I mean, everybody has DVR, one way or another. Your dish
Yeah,
network
they
or your
should.
whatever, everything. Something can be recorded, or it's on demand if you have ESPN Plus. You can watch it there too.
Yeah, DVR is a big deal, but nobody uses TiVo anymore.
I know, that's why I said it, because nobody has TiVo, and I don't even have TiVo. I've never had TiVo. I don't even know how. Anyway, whatever. I just thought it would be fun to say because
fair.
NHL playoff. They're in playoff mode, and it's getting interesting. If you haven't been watching the NHL playoffs, it has been exciting. Well, some of the series have been some of the series have been exciting. So let's talk about the series. This is the Stanley Cup playoff bracket you're looking at right here, and this is not up to date, by the way, because the Penguins just won tonight over the Islanders to take a 2-1 series lead. We'll talk about them individually, but this is your bracket right now. And so I like the way they're doing it this year, and this is different than in the past. They're all 4 teams from that same division are playing for one spot. So this is your Mass Mutual East: Pittsburgh, New York, Washington, and Boston. They're all in the same division. They're playing for that spot to go into the semifinals, to go into the conference finals, basically.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think it's great. I think the interdivision breeds a lot more contempt. If you didn't watch the Pittsburgh New York Islanders game tonight, you missed out on a 5-4 game. There were lots of goals, and at one point in time, there were 5 Islanders and 6 Penguins in the penalty box.
Woo!
It had multiple scrums. It was a lot of fun to watch. That was a good hockey game to watch. So, like I said,
I don't know why that's happening all of a sudden, because the last couple years, or when I started watching hockey, sporadically, they don't fight in the playoffs as much because of the fear of suspensions.
Well, so that was in the I'm telling you, this is different because you're playing a team that you've already played like 6 or 7 or 8 times this year.
Yeah, it's fair.
So it's a whole nother level. It's a team you play every year all the time, and you're really familiar with them. And that
you really don't like them.
And it's like playing hockey against your brother. If you're playing hockey against your brother, there's going to be a fight. Doesn't matter who's going to.
I'd mess him up.
Doesn't matter who's going to get a timeout. You know what I mean? Who's going to get
right.
in trouble? It doesn't make a difference. There's going to be a fight, and that's what this is. So I like this format. I absolutely do. I'm not all for changing playoff formats. You know that. I'm a traditional type person, and I don't like expanding playoffs and moving playoffs and adjusting playoffs. We'll talk about the NBA in a minute, but I love this. I really do. I think this is the way it should be. This is the best. You're going to get the best 4 teams from each one team from each division to play for the Stanley Cup, and I love that. I think it's great. I think it's pretty cool. You may not get the best 4 teams, but you're going to have one team from each division. So the games in the meantime are going to be a lot of fun. So that is 2-1 Penguins now after tonight's game. The other game the other series you want to watch is in this division, and it's the Capitals and Bruins. They've played 3 games, and Boston leads 2-1. All 3 games have gone into overtime. So it has been fantastic hockey to watch. And last night, Game 3 went into double overtime before Craig Smith scored on a wraparound goal with 5:48 to go, giving Boston the 3-2 win. Tomorrow is Game 4 on NBC Sports. If you want to watch that, and I suggest you do, it is fun. NBC Sports has most of this hockey. You'll find some on USA, and you'll find some on NHL Network, but it has been fantastic. So Caps Bruins, 2-1 Bruins. Canes and Predators, right? It's all Carolina at this point. Hurricanes have won the first 2 games 5-2 and 3-0. Game 3 is Friday on the USA Network. You have the Panthers and Lightning. And Tampa Bay has a 2-0 lead over Florida, except I think they're playing tonight, and this was a tight game, if I'm not mistaken. I got to find it now.
Yeah, the Panthers won tonight 6-5 in overtime.
Yeah, so that was a good game because it was a 5-3 lead for the Lightning in the third period, and then 2 third-period goals for the Panthers, and then 1 in overtime. And I can get his name here because I have it. As Ryan Lomberg scores his first playoff goal of the season and wins the game for Florida. So that one is now 2-1. So that one's evened up a little bit. Tampa Bay had a stranglehold on that one until now. And now you got the let's see. Let's go to the Habs. So the Canadiens and the Maple Leafs played their first game, or are playing their first game right now. I don't even think they've finished this game. Let me look.
It's wrapped up. Canadians won 2-1.
Did they? So that's game 1 of that series, and that's an upset because the Maple Leafs were on top of the division. They had the best record by far. They won that division pretty easily. So that's game 1. Game 2 of that is not tomorrow night. It will be Saturday.
Saturday, yes, sir.
Yep. So Jets Oilers played game 1 last night. Winnipeg won 4-1. Edmonton led 1-0 before 4 different Winnipeg Jets scored, 3 of them in the third period, and then game 2 is Friday on NBC Sports. The Avs and Blues is all Avalanche too, truly an Avalanche. Colorado's won 4-1 and 6-3 over St. Louis. Take a 2-0 lead. Game 3 is tomorrow on USA. And the Wild and the Golden Knights, who are playing right now, this one's currently in progress. And I don't have the score. Look at that. I don't even have it right there. Wild and Golden Knights were tied. Series was tied at 1. Wild were crushing them early, actually.
The Wild are still up 2-0 at the end of 1.
It's 2-0. See, they scored a third goal that got disallowed. Because when I looked at it, it was 3-0, and now that I see that, it's 2-0. So they must have got a goal disallowed. So they're off to a good start. The Wild are. So that's going to be good hockey too. The Wild and the Knights are 2 pretty darn good teams. So. And then, so that's what you're looking at in the NHL playoffs right now, and it's going to be exciting. I'm telling you what, tune into a hockey game, just pick one and watch it. You know, odds are you're going to get a good one because playoff hockey is so much different. They play at a different level. There's familiarity. They're playing a team in their division. It's fantastic to watch. So anyway, I'd say do it. And if you can get
it's looked pretty good, but I'm getting pissed because they butt them up so close on NBC Sports that one game overlaps the next. Missed the first 10 minutes or 12 minutes of the Avs game.
Yeah.
Because it was being overrun by an overtime game. Space them out a little bit. Damn.
Well, that's kind of just how they do it.
I know, but still, space it out a little bit. And then they're like, oh, it's airing over on, the NBC Sports or the NBC Sports app. And I'm like,
yeah,
I have to pull up an app to watch it. I can't just watch it on my TV if I really want. That's stupid. That's stupid. Get yourself an NBC News channel and use that to dump all your crap on. Just like ESPN does.
Well, I would tell you, pick a game and watch the whole game. And you want to go watch Penguins Islanders, or you want to watch Capitals Bruins. Those are the 2 I would suggest because those are fantastic series right now. The Penguins and Islanders game was just a mess. The third period was just fun to watch. Anyway, so that's my suggestion, everybody, is pick a hockey game and watch it. It'll be on all weekend.
They're all pretty good right now.
They are, really. So we are moving to our what I would consider to be the second half of our show.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's the half. We're almost to the halfway point.
It's the half. It's the half. It's good enough.
Let's call it halfway. We should take a halftime break. We really should.
You need to get a referee's whistle to beep beep, to stop the game, stop for a minute and whatnot.
We need a
horn. The sound of water being drank or something.
We need a horn. We need like the sound of the horn going off. It's halftime.
Yeah, that's right.
Our second half of the show brought to you by Boss Kitty Hand-Dyed Yarns. Be sure to tune in to BossKittyLive.com at 6 p.m. every Monday and Wednesday and 11 a.m. every other Sunday for fun, fiber, games, tutorials, the occasional F-bomb. Something big is coming from Boss Kitty, and just keep listening. Keep listening to our show. We'll tell you when it happens because it's going to be exciting. And keep watching BossKittyLive.com for more details. That's Boss Kitty Hand-Dyed Yarns. Yarn so boss, you'll knit your pants. So we want to talk about the second half of the show, which, again, we're talking about what?
Playoffs.
Yeah, playoffs. We're talking about playoffs. So this is your live look. It's not live. This is your look at the State Farm play-in tournament.
Right. As
of this morning. And we know what happened in the first couple games. So Memphis beat the San Antonio Spurs, knocked them out. That was not last night.
That was last night.
Was it last night?
Well, it was yesterday.
My days are all running.
Last night for the East Coast.
Right. It was yesterday. To advance to play. Now they're going to play Golden State, who lost to the Lakers last night. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That was last night. Yeah.
That was last night. Man, you're struggling with this. Do I need to get you a calendar?
They're both played. So both Western Conference teams played last night. It was Tuesday night.
Right.
When the East. Okay, whew, man, I don't know. They don't
Tuesday
have the
was
dates?
Eastern Conference
Oh my
game,
gosh.
9-10, and then they did 8-7.
Just put the
and then
dates
they
on
went that
here.
way.
Why you gotta be all confusing, Mr.
Just in
Bracket?
case you got to reschedule something. Man.
Whatever. So the Lakers beat the Golden State Warriors last night in a game that we have strong opinions about how the Lakers get where they get.
See,
I think
they're questionable.
I'm not saying the NBA is rigged. I'm just saying there's a lot of questionable things that go on in Lakers games that you don't see in other games. So that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I see some crap happen all the time around LeBron. It's funny because I sent my buddy a text after the game was over, and he was like, "Man, those calls are terrible." And I was like, "Man, I've been watching LeBron teams get every bit of the doubt since he was on Miami. It's nothing new. When the moment he left the Cavs the first time and sold out to be the NBA's golden boy, man, he gets every call, and his team by extension gets every call. You're never going to put him in a bet. They were getting smoked. Free throws brought them anywhere close to being in that game, and then you just needed a natural athlete to kind of take care of a little bit of the rest.
Well, and you saw a lot of contact plays that were fouls in the first half that were not fouls in the second half, and
not fouls for Golden State, or not fouls for
not fouls on LA. They made a lot of contact that they were getting called for in the first half. In the second half, they did not get called for that.
Yeah, they were going up really strong at the rim a lot. And they called Golden State for 3 consecutive charges, and only one of those was legit. One of them they didn't review because they had just used their challenge to review another one that LeBron leaps into the air and takes a charge, and then they overturn that. Then they commit a quote charge a second later, and then the actual charge happened later, the one that actually made sense.
Yeah.
But it just there's too much suspicion consistently around the Lakers for me to ever give them true credit. You could say what you want, and you watched it more at the time. Did MJ get these calls?
Yes. Only he legitimately made some crazy plays that he got fouled. He put his
he was getting fouled often, actually fouled.
Yeah, he put his body into the air in some awkward positions a lot, but it led to contact. And back in the day, so when he was playing in the 90s, late 80s, 90s, contact was accepted and it was part of the game. And he was probably not, he would benefit from playing now even more than he did playing then.
Because now you don't actually have to be fouled.
Right.
You just have to give the impression of being fouled, which is enough.
I would say he'd score more now just because of the way the game's opened up. And if you drive to the basket, odds are, and the way he can control his body, you're going to get a foul. LeBron doesn't necessarily control his body. He just drives over the top of you. That's what he
drives over the top of you and then somehow gets an offensive foul or a defensive foul while he's barreling you over. He ran over Draymond Green, and absolutely slammed into his body and flung him out of the way.
Yeah.
And they called a foul on Draymond.
Yeah, well, they like to call fouls on Draymond.
Oh man, don't they? That technical they gave him early in that game.
Yeah.
Oh, well, come on.
And
you can't test LeBron James. They're gonna try and kick you out. It's just how it is.
And that's one of my biggest complaints about technical fouls is that if you're gonna give a guy a technical foul for complaining, I want to hear what he said. I want to know exactly what he said to you. Did he call your mom a name? Did he say something bad about your kids? What did he do?
Or were you just tired of hearing him go, "What did I do? What did I do?"
Because LeBron and AD both did the exact same thing in that same game. They were both up in a referee's face. And so I'm like, if you're going to give one guy a T, you got to give the other guy a T. It has to be fair, but it's not. It never is with the Lakers. So
They gave Draymond the T. I think it was in the second quarter. It may have been in the first, but whenever it was, 2 or 3 plays later, it came to a stop. And as soon as the whistle blew, of course, camera panned to LeBron, see what he's doing in this moment. He walks over to the ref and throws his arm around him and starts talking to him pretty aggressively. Anthony Davis runs over and starts pointing his fingers at him and yelling, and LeBron has to push him off no, go away, I'm dealing with it.
Right.
Isn't that a whole bunch of aggressiveness coming at you in this moment?
Yeah.
And you're not going to tee either of these guys up?
Right. And
I get it.
You'd think they would, but it's not. It's never been that way. I mean, that's the star factor in the NBA will always win out. You don't see stars getting thrown out of basketball games. It just
The
doesn't
NBA
happen.
has an interest in
Right.
seeing LeBron go deep into the playoffs.
No,
It's just the way it is. You have interest in it.
right.
It means something to you. So
It's not.
it's always going to be questionable.
But it's not, like I said, it's not just LeBron. It's you would have never seen. Well, I don't think Magic would have ever done that because he just smiles at you. But you've never seen Magic
Yeah.
get thrown out of a basketball game. It just doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
Even though he does complain, he does it in a different way. You know what I mean? But he's complaining just as much as the other guys. If you're a nice complaint is still a complaint. Just because he's angry is no reason to give him a technical. If he says something terrible about your family, then I'm okay with that. You know, you got to do what you got to do. Or if he's, threatening to beat somebody, whatever, I don't know. But I don't know what he's doing out there. But I don't know what he said. I have no idea. So if he just come over and said, "Hey, that wasn't a foul," come on, is that going to get him a technical? Because if he says
how thin-skinned do you have to be
right,
around professional athletes?
Did he say it that way? I mean, if he said it that way, if I said, "Hey, that's not a foul," but if I yell at you, "Hey, that's not a foul," that's different, right? But it's still the same thing. I'm saying the exact same thing. So do you just feel threatened by the action, or I mean, that's weird to me.
But it doesn't matter what you say as official. It doesn't matter what your answer is to that question because LeBron does all of those things.
All of those things.
He runs at you.
He did it all
He
yesterday.
yells at you. He screams at you. He holds his hands, palms up, giving you the most incredulous face like you are a toddler who just broke a glass.
Right.
He demeans you. He does all these things, but for some reason, and let's not forget, they're on the NBA's payroll, these refs. They are.
Yeah.
And if the NBA's have an interest in seeing LeBron go deep in the playoffs, then the NBA refs have an interest. Because the guy who pays them has an interest in it.
Yeah, that seems kind of scary. Like they should be an independent party. Like
they
officials
really
should be.
They should be contracted and half paid by the players union and half paid by the league.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah. So that way the interests of both parties is to benefit them.
The way it should be. Every player bring $5 to pay the ref each game. Right?
Dude, I literally did that on Saturday.
Yeah.
I brought money to tip the ref. So part of his pay is in our game fee that we have to pay through Venmo.
Uh-huh.
But then I usually bring like $2 or $5, and after the game, I'll tip the ref for the game.
I bet you do.
I'm just saying. Next time he remembers it.
Little LeBron over here.
Next time he remembers it.
All right.
I got charged, or no, sorry. Yeah, no, this guy was coming down the lane. I planted my feet and he hit me and I go, "Aye!" And I fall away in the most elaborate fashion. And
right.
He was like, and he called the charge too.
Yeah.
And I was like, sold it.
And if you like watching good acting, go watch Wesley Matthews in the fourth quarter of that game fly through the air after making absolutely zero contact on a screen.
Zero contact.
He literally goes flying off out of bounds. Like,
didn't review it. They don't care.
Like something just like a Mack truck hit him, and it was like, what? I watched it. At full speed. I watched it and go, he didn't even touch him. And then when you see the replay, it's even more ridiculous. Anyway,
how frustrating is that for a player to watch the ref make this call, and you're like, I don't even have his sweat on me, man.
Right.
There's no evidence that him and I touched.
All right, we got to move along.
Moving along.
We might have got sidetracked there. I don't know.
It's all right.
But it was all basketball related, so really not. But anyway, so the Western Conference looks as thusly as you see it on the screen here. Lakers are going to play Phoenix in the first round.
Right.
And that's how do you feel about Lakers and Suns in the first round? 7-2 matchup.
Oh man, I mean, as long as the refs show up to the game, Lakers are probably going to win. So as long as they can find the locker room, I would say that just objectively looking at trying to ignore how I feel about how this is going to go based on league standards, I feel like that this should be a terrible matchup for the Lakers.
Right. Because
DeAndre Ayton, because of speed, because of youth, DeAndre Ayton can eliminate Anthony Davis on the defensive end. Yeah. He won't be able to help him on the offensive end, but he can eliminate him on the defensive end. And then you throw in Devin Booker and Chris Paul and Kelly Oubre. LeBron can only defend one of those guys. And yeah, Alex Caruso is a lockdown defender, and I'll give him that credit. He does a pretty good job. But, I mean, there's just too many weapons on them, on the Suns, and they're too fast.
Yeah, so. I kind of agree with you. I think Phoenix is a really good basketball team, had a really great year, and they have that ability when they're clicking to fast break you to death and play some pressure defense. Chris Paul has been a tremendous addition for them, by the way, and I think he's been that guy that's pushed them over the top. They were good last year, That was a good
They were
basketball team.
pretty darn good.
Yeah, but they are much better this year with the addition of Chris Paul, and he moves them along. The way he's playing this year, just fantastic. I don't know. I just think it's a different level. Game 1 is on Sunday,
right,
on ABC. For those of you who want to watch the Lakers, and I wouldn't, but that's just me talking. Dallas Mavericks, LA Clippers is the 5-4 out west. So the Clippers, who were one of the top 3 teams, if not, second for quite a while, they were battling for first for what, the first half of the season until Utah took a stranglehold on it.
Yeah.
But now settling for 4. How do you feel the Clippers feel being 4? Is that going to be like this gigantic letdown for a team that had such a lot of higher expectations? And they did the same thing last year. Let's be honest. You expected them to be really, really good, and they were not. Right?
Right.
Yeah. They still won 47 games. There's nothing to sneeze at, but they're going to play a Dallas Mavericks team that is Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. That's who it is. If you can shut him down, great, but most people can't shut him down.
Well, they also have Kristaps Porzingis if he's healthy, if he plays.
Right.
And that dude can play any position from center to 1, at least in terms of shooting.
He's very athletic.
He's fantastic.
Yeah, he's very.
He
athletic.
Actually is probably their X factor on any given night.
You think this is a matter of Kawhi Leonard playing defense on Luka?
It's a terrible deal for Luka. It's a raw deal. Yet you drew Kawhi Leonard. That sucks.
Yeah.
Have fun with your 20 points on every rotate and screen that you do, because that's how they're going to have to get them off. Every single time they're going to bring a center up and try and rotate them off. That's the only way to play against Kawhi Leonard, is to not play against Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah,
so, well, it's going to be interesting.
And Luka brings the ball up the floor quite a bit too, so he's going to have a lot of, give and go type stuff. They're going to have to do some things like that. The screen, they're going to try and screen to get him open, but I feel like him handling the ball helps them a little bit. He's not like an off guard. He's a guy that can control the ball and make things happen off the dribble a little bit. So, I don't know, but I still feel like the Clippers would be the favorite, maybe in 6.
I think they should be, because even if it's not, Kawhi Leonard, it could be Pat Beverly, who's a very competent defender all the way through most 4s even.
Right.
So you're going to be dealing with something going on there. And Paul George, let's not whip at him. The dude's long, he's tall, he's athletic. He might not be as athletic a defender as the other 2, but I mean, it's just a terrible matchup for the Mavs. I'm calling Clippers in 5.
Ooh, wow. Okay. So there's the Utah Jazz, like I said, where they're waiting till the winner of tomorrow night's game, Memphis and Golden State. Who's going to win that game, Memphis or Golden State? Dylan, let's stop for a minute before I say that. I ask you a question, then I want to tell you information. Dylan Brooks has looked really good.
He's playing out of his mind for the last 15 games of the season.
He has turned out to be a really good basketball player. I mean, we watched.
He's still a role player. He's not a guy who's going to lead your team. But man, he's got energy.
But he's capable.
He's got a high motor.
But he's very capable of being. He's a double guy who can score, 20 and 10 pretty easily if you let him. You know what I mean? If you. But he plays tremendous defense. You saw what he did, like Steph Curry the other day, in last week.
Yeah.
He when he was playing on Curry has 10 points, and then he goes out. And all of a sudden it's a whole nother basketball game because no one can stop Steph Curry. Well, he did, and I'm like, wow, how do you do that? Because
being 100% fair, Alex Caruso was stopping Steph Curry last night. You know how they do that is to dedicate one person to him. That is it. You are not, Dylan Brooks, Alex Caruso. You're not paying attention to anything else. Nothing else in this whole court, gym, life matters.
But that's what you have.
Follow this person, and then you tell the other guy, the high guy that comes to screen him off, and you say, if they try and screen you off, you follow him. You follow Steph Curry, and you let that other guy do what he's got to do. And they were doing the same thing. So he did a good job, yes. But I mean, Steph still had 30 points in that loss.
37 in the loss. Yeah.
Yeah.
Above his average. So
yeah, he's doing all right. That was Dylan Brooks playing good defense, by the way. It's just letting Steph have 37.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so yeah, let's assume that. What I think Golden State's the better basketball team, but I'm not 100% sold that that's true, that they'll win the game because it's just one game. You know what I mean? This is one game. They're coming off a loss
Yeah.
that makes it harder. Memphis will clearly have a little bit of a psychological advantage having just won. So
Right.
that's gonna be tough. But Golden State will be playing at home. I figure Golden State will win. What do you think?
I would say Golden State's going to win too as well. Yeah, as much as I like Memphis and I want them to do well, I think Golden State's got this in hand.
So that sets up an 8-1 matchup between Golden State and Utah that might be fantastic.
I don't think it works for Utah that well.
Right. I don't think they can guard Steph.
They don't.
the
They don't
same
have
way.
the pieces to guard Steph. Mike Conley's not going to guard Steph Curry the same way that a young
No.
Alex Caruso is or a young Dylan Brooks is. They might have to pull somebody else off, a different position. And being fair, they're not. Golden State's not that deep of a team.
Right.
But if Andrew Wiggins can take pressure off of Steph, that's tough right there in and of itself.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch that series play out. If Golden State can steal a game in Utah, like right off the bat, and get themselves, take the home court advantage away, maybe that'll have something to do with it. I don't know. But if Utah plays the game they're capable of playing, they are a better basketball team.
They should be.
They should.
Absolutely.
I just think it'll be closer than everyone thinks it will be.
They have far too many fantastic pieces. I got Utah winning this 5-1 also.
Okay. I'm going to move to the East. I'm going to save that other one for last.
Sure.
The one in the West for last. So, the Washington Wizards tonight clobbered Indiana.
Clobbered them.
Clobbered them. It was not even close. So Indiana's out, and that means that Boston, who beat Washington on Tuesday night, earned the 7 seed. Boston's going to play Brooklyn in the first round, and I feel like this is a good series. I want to watch this series. If you want to watch a pretty good basketball series, I think this might be it. Brooklyn has to show up. Boston's capable of beating you. And Brooklyn's going to have to show up to play, and all their players are going to have to show up to play. They can't just rely on the one guy to carry them. I think everyone has to come to play.
Right.
Yeah, that's just my take. I don't know that Boston can beat
I got Brooklyn in 6, and that's because I think Boston's going to snag 2 games and push this thing out because they've got talent. Jason Tatum's talented. Kemba Walker's talented. They've got pieces and things like that, and some of those pieces are superstars, man.
Right.
You gotta have to deal with that, and it's gonna cost you a game if you're not all in every game. So I'll give it this: it's either gonna go 6-2 or it's gonna be a clean sweep.
Okay, so I feel it's gonna be Brooklyn in 7. I think it's gonna struggle. I think they're gonna struggle. I think Boston's gonna have a 2-1 lead.
That's a bold take,
and it's gonna be a struggle. Anyway, I don't know for sure. I just feel like Brooklyn's having trouble getting everyone to play well all at the same time.
Yeah, but was it really trouble, or was that pre-playoff stuff? Because LA was having trouble with it, and then the playoffs came.
I mean, all season. Brooklyn at some point in time came shooting up, and you expected them to be the number 1 seed. I expected them to take over the East and just win it easily, and they did not. So they struggled they couldn't get ahead of Philadelphia, which seemed weird to me. I thought they were much better than Philadelphia. They may still be better than Philadelphia, but for some reason they didn't win as many games as Philadelphia. I don't know. Anyway, I just feel like they struggle sometimes when they shouldn't. So I think this is going to be closer than it should be. That's all. I don't think they'll lose, but watch out.
I think they'll be fine. I think for the first time you're actually going to get to see, all those 3 guys that everyone's been wanting to see playing at a high level on the court at the same time. They're only 1 game behind Philly, and they lost to Philly. So there's your 1 game.
Sure.
So that's all that they were behind, and it's in my mind, a game can go either way, and that was a game that probably had Kyrie on a mental health break and James Harden on a strip club break, and KD was the only one playing. So I'm not giving Philly any leeway to say that they were that much better, or Brooklyn, saying that they were that much worse. I think those 2 teams are dead even. It wouldn't have mattered who was 1 or 2, but Brooklyn definitely drew the short straw having to play Boston.
Absolutely, because, I don't know. So now the Wizards, having won, are going to play Philly in the first round. Is Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook, are they capable of doing something to Philly?
They're always capable of it, but they won't.
Will they? Will they though? Yeah.
They will not. Their depth is just terrible. Behind Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook, you have Rui Hachimura, the young guy, or Robin Lopez over the hill.
Well, hold on now. Robin Lopez looked great tonight.
Yeah, he did look good. Ish Smith, like none of these guys though are
Right.
superstars. You pretty much have two superstars, like superstars.
Superstars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then a bunch of other dudes.
I hear you. I hear you.
And I don't think it's enough to overcome what Philly does well on defense with all of their super, because Ben Simmons, he can rotate from Russ, or he can rotate to Bradley Beal, or he can rotate to the center. It doesn't matter. Embiid is kind of one dimensional in that regard, but Embiid's going to tear apart Robin Lopez.
Probably.
I just believe it, because Embiid's a scorer, and Embiid is another one of those guys who gets a lot of calls.
Yeah.
He knows how to get them. So
And to be fair, Washington had to play their behinds off to get to this position. They
really did.
They were really good in the second half of the season. They really had to play hard just to have a chance to get in the playoffs.
Just to even be being talked about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were a non-factor in the first half, and one of those bottom 2 or 3 teams, and then all of a sudden they found a way to start playing basketball together, and they were really good.
They've been fantastic ever since. I think Philly sweeps this. By the way, I think it's a 4-0 Philly.
Oh, I don't. I will say 5, just because I think Russell and Beal are going to have one day where they both go off.
Yeah, if that happens, that's always dangerous, because
Right.
Beal's capable of 40, Russ is capable of 40, and
Right.
next thing you know, you're making up a lot.
And the team scores 81. But anyway,
yeah, that's right.
All right. How do you feel about the Knicks and the Hawks? That's the 5-4. First of all, how surprised are we all that the New York Knicks are the 4 seed?
How excited are we all? Is the better question.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing, The Knicks are back in the playoffs.
Right.
I think it's neat. They've been so bad for so long. They finally did what the New York Jets could only dream of doing.
No, don't even the Jets.
Which is draft well, trade well, and make something happen, damn it, for your season ticket holders. And they did it. And not only did they do it, but they went from no playoffs to a 4 seed.
4 seed is pretty good.
I mean, my goodness. Kudos to them. I'm very excited for this series. This is going to be one of my favorite ones. I think Ice Trey is garbage. I get him out of here. That Atlanta team is one deep in every position at best. I'm just not a fan. I think the Knicks, who are also one deep, are just better. One deep.
Atlanta is the super poor man's version of Golden State, in that the 3-pointer is how you win. If they're hitting threes and everyone's hitting threes, they're really hard to beat. But if anybody's off,
old Pacer teams with Reggie Miller, they played a lot like Atlanta plays. Small, fast basketball, and lots of threes, lots of shots. It's all about volume.
But you had Reggie Miller, who could shoot the ball from anywhere too. So
I mean, Trae Young's. I will give him this, whether I like him or not. It doesn't matter. Trae Young is a decent shooter, and he's probably as good of a shooter as Reggie Miller is. But hey, he's got 3 years on him. Reggie Miller had a bunch, so let's give it some time. But I'm saying that statement at the 3 years into their career, he's looking about the same. I mean, Trae Young hits at an incredible clip.
He does.
So, although this year he's worse than last year, but
I don't know. I won't.
After he stopped getting all those run up the back fouls early in the season, his 3-point shooting has become the only thing he can do anymore. But he is very one dimensional because he's so small. He's not driving. He's not finishing like Steph does. He's a poor man Steph Curry.
I won't give you the Reggie Miller comparison, but I will say this: I think the Knicks are going to win this 1-6. I think the Knicks are a more complete basketball team. They have more parts and pieces that function well together. They're deeper. They're maybe not a lot, but I think they've got the ability to win those kind of games. It's going to be interesting to win the close games, the playoff games.
I agree with 6.
I think Atlanta has to be on. They're going to have to be on every night, and I don't think that's possible. So
also, Derrick Rose in the playoffs,
right?
Let's go. Bring it back the day. Let's go.
That's what I'm saying. Derrick Rose. All right. So the other matchup in the East is 3-6. That's Milwaukee and Miami, and it's the Miami Heat, right? Didn't they make noise last year in the playoffs?
They went to the finals because the East was
garbage,
reeling from losing Kawhi and LeBron.
But it's a team with a lot of playoff experience, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you've been in these big games. You were in them all last year, so
that's true. And Jimmy Butler shouldn't be counted out. Bam Adebayo just got snubbed for DPOY. So
and you're playing a team that had an early exit last year in the playoffs, and is probably we're looking to avenge it. But if you're doing that, that means it's on your mind. The fact
Right.
that
You're
you
at least
lost
thinking
last.
about it.
Yeah, if you're gonna come out and say, "Oh, we're gonna avenge last year's early exit," well, right now you've already said, "Hey, we had an early exit," and that's
Are
on your
you
mind.
already a step behind if that's in your head already?
Absolutely, you're already playing from behind. Oh well, we're motivated by that. No, no,
So you don't believe a chip on your shoulder
no.
is
Well,
a positive
it
motivation?
depends on the chip. It depends on what we're talking. Now, a chip on your shoulder, as in, oh, this guy disrespected me. He, punked me, or he did whatever. That's a different chip. We're talking about a team that had an early exit from the playoffs, a team that was probably the best team in the East last year, and they just failed miserably in the first round. That's what I'm talking about. That weighs heavy around your neck for a whole year into the playoffs, because now you're back in the same situation. Not exactly because you're a 3 seed, but you're back in the playoffs, and you're playing a team who won the East last year. And
Right.
you're like, oh crap! Coming out of almost the same position, Miami came out of the what, 5 seed or 4 seed
Something like
to
that.
win the East last year. So I'm just saying, don't count out Miami. I'm not saying they're that good, but they're capable of beating Milwaukee, because Milwaukee has shown clearly that they cannot function well in come playoff time and crunch time, and they're not any better this year than they were last year. So I don't know. How do you feel?
I feel like Miami is consistently disrespected. I feel like they're kind of the butt of some people's jokes. But also, I feel like that's the exact same thing that happens to Milwaukee. And so with that, you're going to have two teams who are playing, Miami's playing to prove that, getting to the title last year wasn't a fluke. But Milwaukee's trying to prove that getting out in the first or second round or whenever they got out isn't a fluke. Like I'm just, it's all not right. And I have a feeling that at the end of this day, that Miami's going to find a way to shut down Giannis.
Yeah.
And I think that Miami wins this series. I think they win it in 6.
And that's exactly what I was talking about. The difference is that Miami's trying to prove that last year wasn't a fluke, but they won,
right?
And they have the winning feeling and still feel disrespected, like nobody feels like they're any good. But Milwaukee has the losing feeling and is trying to avenge what happened last year, trying to prove that last year was a fluke.
Different feeling.
It's a different feeling going in. So, because the minute you start falling behind in a playoff game 1, you start falling behind. If you're Milwaukee, what are you going to think? Oh, this is just like last year.
Oh no, not again.
Yeah. Oh no, not again. That is exactly what happened.
And if you're Miami in that same scenario, they're going to go, we weathered this last year and got to the finals.
Right.
All good.
Yeah, they'll figure it out. Anyway, I feel Miami's. I feel like that's the upset right there. If you're going to pick one, of all.
I feel like that's fair. Yeah.
Maybe there's another one, because we're about to talk about that one. Let's talk a little bit about the West 6-3 matchup, because that's what we're all here for, right? That's why everyone tunes in, is to
something like that.
is to talk about the Blazers and the Nuggets. So Blazers finished 6th, and they did so by winning tough games down the stretch.
They really did.
They really did. They played very, very well. Beat this same Denver team in the last game of the season, 132-116, to earn the 6th seed, to avoid the play-in, which is, thank goodness they did that. I would not have wanted to play Golden State in game 1 of the play-in if I was the Blazers.
I agree.
Just because of past history with Golden State. But they won. They're a 6th seed. They're playing Denver, who managed to, even despite the loss, managed to remain tied with the Clippers, so they're the 3 seed.
Yeah.
So Portland and Denver are going to go right back at it. 2019, just 2 years ago, this series went 7 games in the Western Conference semifinals. And the Blazers won in game 7 on the road at Denver, 196. That was a tremendous 7-game basketball series. I feel like this could be the same kind of thing.
I don't think so.
No?
I think that the oh my God. The Nuggets. You said the Warriors earlier and got me a little distracted. I think the Nuggets are riding high off of having, don't get me wrong, they've done fine in Jamal Murray's absence. But they've also had the easier part of their schedule on the back half of their schedule. So that's kind of helped them stay in the position they're in. They're riding high off of Jamal Murray, helping them all season. Jamal Murray's no longer there. So you're dealing with some other guys. And then I think there's an X factor here. Carmelo Anthony going back to Denver to prove something, or not prove something, as he says. And I think it's huge. I think that the Blazers win this series in 5, and I think that one game that they lose is tight.
Really?
I think it's a tight game on the road. I think Jokic is gonna eat every night, but I think that the Blazers have gotten hot at the right time, and having just played them and just smoked them, you feel pretty good about what you're looking at.
Okay. That's a lot. Let me think about that for a minute. I don't know how I feel about that exactly. I feel like the Blazers are a team that can match up well against the Nuggets. They present some challenges in the backcourt, especially. Jokic can be a really dominant player. The Blazers are going to throw two centers at him, obviously, right? So you got 12 fouls, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
When you've got the backup, that's when Jokic comes out, Denver has no inside presence really. So I feel like not that Enes Kanter's a great defender necessarily, and I think he's a better offensive player than he is defensive player. Just in general, he can block some shots, but I feel like he's better. His value is in the ability to play offense and shoot the basketball. Nurkic is clearly the better, bigger body, that you want to put on somebody. But the fact that you have two and you have a backup is a bonus, because Kanter's capable of playing. Not that he's great, but he's capable of being the backup and filling the hole. I think that Lillard and McCollum are going to be too much. You have to shut them both down. You can't. Either one of them could also go for 40, right? McCollum maybe 30, 35. All right, but
yeah, maybe.
But Lillard could go for 50 if you're not paying attention. And so the two of them, feed off each other, and as long as they are not struggling to shoot, both of them at the same time, because when both of them come out slow, that's a problem. That's your hope, I think, if you're Denver, is that you can slow down both of them shooting right off the bat and make it difficult. But I feel like this is Blazers. I feel like it's 6. And
6 is pretty good.
6. I feel like it's 6. Winning the last one, at home. And
I feel like 6 is a solid guess, whereas 5 is like a cop out.
A little optimistic. 5. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, that could be a 7. It could be a 7-game series again. It very well could be. It's going to be tight. I think overall the playoffs. I think what you're looking at here. I don't feel like. I feel like Phoenix and Utah. If Phoenix beats the Lakers, it's one of those two teams in the finals. Phoenix or Utah.
It stands to reason.
Yeah, I just feel like they're clearly better, and I'm not counting out the Lakers because of what they can do when they're healthy. They won the championship last year, so when they're healthy, that's a very good basketball team. They're going to be hard to beat. Maybe you have to poke LeBron in the eye again. Maybe that's what you got to do in the first.
Maybe you got to poke him a couple times. And seeing triple isn't enough. I need you to see quadruple.
Well, both eyes, not just the one eye. You got to poke him in both eyes.
He came out and said that, I saw 3 rims, so I just shot at the middle one. I'm like, well, that's easy. It's like target hairs.
Right? Exactly.
Tells you where to send it.
You have crosshairs now, thanks to Draymond.
Way to go, Draymond. You made LeBron better somehow. I'm still not sure how that worked.
Oh my god.
It's funny. So for those of you who don't know, my wife is becoming a doctor, and I went to her and I said, what would it take to see 3 of something? She's like, well, there's a couple of scenarios. One is if you misshape your actual eyeball.
Right.
That would allow you some weird refractions. And I was like, all right, it's probably not that. And she was like, 2, what if there's like a lot of water in your eye, like moisture in your eye? I'm like, I'd be willing to bet he probably solved that scenario. She goes, probably had a concussion then.
Well.
And I was like, well, maybe, but he didn't get hit, so he couldn't possibly have a concussion.
He didn't, yeah.
He barely got contacted.
That shot,
it wasn't enough.
Yeah, I'll tell you how I felt when that play went down, and why we're still LeBron bashing, because we'd like to do that. But anyway,
it's a little fun. It's easy.
He goes up for the shot. He goes in hard, right, which he does all the time. And Draymond was intentional. He was let's not say intentional. Was trying to foul him. It was a hard foul, and it was a playoff foul, and that is exactly what you get when you go into the lane hard against Draymond Green. You're going to get that every time.
Draymond for you, yep.
Yeah, so there's going to be contact, and it's going to be hard. Did he get him in the eye? I couldn't tell. I could not see if he actually got him in the eye. I know he put his hand in his face. Right?
He touched his face.
He definitely touched his face.
His face. So I could see the stretch that maybe he boinked part of his eye.
Here's what I know. Here's what I know about being poked in the eye. It hurts like a son of a. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you immediately do what?
Put your hand over your eye.
Put your hand over your eye. LeBron didn't do that till after he fell down, after he watched that his shot didn't go in, and then he grabbed his eye and rolled around for about 4 minutes.
Well, he laid on the ground face down with his arm with his head in his like armpit or his elbow pit.
Right.
With like sitting like that for a while, and then eventually he flipped over, and then that's when he was blinking a whole bunch.
Yeah.
like he had just woken from a coma or something like that. Like it was such an acting job.
It just looked weird. It didn't look.
It was
It
terrible.
didn't. It smelled funny. Let's call it
But
that.
they got the call right. I'll be damned. They
Yeah, they
got
did.
the
They got
call
the call
right.
right. The call was right. It was a
They
foul.
they
It was
they called the foul on
not
the
a
floor.
flagrant.
We all agree, and then
Yeah.
they reviewed it for possible flagrant.
Yeah.
And I remember when their rules expert came in, and goes, I see nothing here, and I'm like, oh well, then it's definitely going to call it. Then they're definitely going to call it, because anytime Mike, whatever this guy, Mike Pereira or Mike Piera or whatever his name is, God dang, I can't remember his name. Whenever he comes in, he always gets it wrong.
Well,
Whatever he says, it's the opposite,
of
that.
thing, yeah.
Yeah. And he was like, there's no foul here. And then they came back
that-
out and said common foul. And I was like, holy crap.
That's that. And when all the announcers agree, then you usually get the other call. Yeah,
well, the
that's
announcers
true.
didn't agree.
But-
The one announcer did, and the other one was like, nah, you hit him in the face. That's a flagrant.
Well, by a letter of the law, it is. But
I mean, but
it wasn't.
there's elements to
he
a
didn't
flagrant.
try and swat at it. He didn't. He just threw his hand out there basically, and
Yeah.
LeBron came into it. So, I mean, I don't know.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
But they got the call right. He made the free throws.
Yeah.
Moving along, they did what they had to do, I guess, down the stretch, and
okay.
with the benefit of this or the benefit of that, it is what it is. But it's at this point, nothing surprises me. LeBron could be standing dead still on an end of the court by himself and fall over, and they call a foul on somebody, saying you had to have fouled him.
You had to.
And if you don't have a challenge,
or yeah, so it's
that's tough on you, man.
Too bad.
It's gonna be 2 shots.
So NBA playoffs. Blazers Nuggets play Saturday, and it's the late game. It's 7:30 Pacific. I think it's 7:30. Is that right? I want to say that's right.
That actually reminds me. Did you hear all the people complaining about the Lakers game start time?
At the 12:30 game? Is it 12:30? 12:30.
No, not their next game. This past game. So Lakers Warriors started at 7.
Yeah.
And all the people on the East Coast are like, this is BS. Why are we not able to watch this game? And I don't know if I could possibly slap people harder than to tell them that these are not your home teams.
If you want to watch the Lakers, you got to move out here.
Right. They're literally 2 California teams. Why in the hell would their priority be to schedule it so Jacksonville can watch it?
Well, I mean,
like it's just preposterous that they have any complaint at all. I mean, you know how many times I've been screwed trying to watch a Ducks game when I lived in Tennessee? It didn't start until 11.
Well, let me ask you this: would it have surprised you had the NBA said, "Oh, we're going to start this 2 hours earlier than that, so that the people in the Central Time Zone, aka Cleveland, can watch this
Cleveland
at the
fans
regular
could watch
time?"
it?
Yeah, because he's from Ohio.
That wouldn't have surprised me that much if they had said it just like that.
Right.
But I probably wouldn't have pieced together that time was associated with there. I probably wouldn't have done it on my own. But if they would have been like, "Oh yeah, we want the Cleveland fans to be able to see it," I'd been like, "You money grubbing."
Yeah, they would have. But I mean, that would not have surprised me if they had done that. If they had played them the other way around and played the Lakers first. But
it was it was a weird thing. But just hearing people complain about start times, and it's so frustrating because Tennessee plays games at 12 o'clock.
Right.
I have to wake up at 9 a.m. You know what time I have to get up for freaking game day here?
Yeah, it's pretty early.
I don't want to hear it. How Alabama gets game day and you get to wake up at your accurate time to go to it. You're at game day at 9, no big deal. I'm at game day at 5 a.m.
However, I will tell you this: as much as that sucks, you do get the NFL games all over on Sunday by 8:30.
Perfect timing.
I mean,
perfect timing.
10 a.m., 1 o'clock, the 5:30 late game. It's perfect, and you don't even have to stay up late.
It's perfect.
Yeah. So and
and that's the thing. If you don't like staying up late, live on the West Coast.
And
if you like staying up late, live on the East Coast because you will.
And you people on the East Coast can't complain because the NCAA basketball championship, the NCAA football championship, the you name it, starts at 5 o'clock Pacific time on a Monday.
Yep.
You're still at work. You can't watch it.
Well, that's what the complaint about people was. People were saying, "Oh, well, we didn't get to see the first, or we didn't get to stay up that late." And it's like, would you rather that California people all still be at work while their teams are playing?
Yes, that's not okay.
That's a terrible compliment.
Happens to the West Coast all the time. But anyway,
yeah, you're right. You're right.
It's there's some benefit to being.
By the way,
that
is my Parker minute. By the way,
okay,
where I complain about a thing.
So now here we go. So by the way, that brings us to a segment we call "Your Mother Thinks I Talk Too Much." This is Parker. He has the floor to talk about whatever he wants for the next minute or so. So take it away, Parker.
Oh crap! I thought that was it.
No.
We can talk about something else. I've recently started watching UFC and boxing.
Uh-huh.
And they're pretty fun. They're pretty exciting to watch. They're a lot more entertaining than I thought they'd be, especially if you ignore all the crap, the hyping up of fights and so got into an altercation during their weigh-in, and if you just kind of ignore all that crap and you get back to just watching the fights, they're actually kind of fun. There's some entertaining stuff. I watched the Billy Joe Saunders versus Alvarez boxing match. This was last weekend or 2 weekends ago. That was pretty darn cool. Alvarez won, and I don't know. I feel like there's something there that I didn't appreciate like 4 or 5 years ago. And then now when I watch it, I'm going, all right, I can see the value in this. I watched a guy's arm get dislocated in a fight, in a UFC fight this past weekend. You had him pinned to the ground, and all of a sudden you're looking at him, and all of a sudden his arm goes bloop and just pops out of its socket. And then the official everybody in here listening knows what I mean when I say bloop. You see the muscles go ripple on his arm because it no longer has tension.
Oh my!
Everyone snapped a rubber band before. You know how it is. But it looked like that. But there's some cool, gross things like that. But there's also some really good fights. There's some really good knockouts and stuff like that. I don't know. I just encourage everyone to go out and maybe ignore the crap that comes with UFC and boxing, but maybe check it out a little bit because there's some good stuff out there to watch.
I don't know. I feel like I don't watch boxing. UFC is kind of interesting and entertaining because there's a lot more allowed. You know what I mean? It's a different style of fighting, but it sort of feels like two drunk guys, after a night at the bar going at it because they don't have any reserve. They don't have any sense not to just go full on and beat each other to death. So I kind of feel like that's the way UFC looks to me. Boxing has a strategy and a style, and there's a way to it, but it's boring. Let's admit it. Most of those fights.
Boxing was the fight that I watched for boxing, the Saunders Alvarez. It was boring. There was a little bit of fighting and a lot of dancing.
Yeah, a lot of dancing. That's my thing. So it kind of.
Yeah.
Hold on. It sounds like this. This is. Hold on. Wait for it.
I'm waiting.
There you go. So it sounds like Ivan Drago standing in front of Rocky saying, "I must break you." That's what it sounds like.
Kind of. Yeah, but watching the UFC stuff, I think like any sport or any event, if you don't understand it, it looks just bonkers. But the more you watch it, the more you realize, oh, that's why he does this. Oh, that's why he does that. Yeah. Oh, that's why they're not allowed to do this. Oh, that's why they're not. Like, I didn't know you weren't allowed to grab the fence.
Right. No, that's leverage. You can't.
I didn't know that, which then means why you're positioning your leg all wonky out this way for the slightest bit of stability makes so much more sense now.
They do wonky too. Yeah, they get in some weird body positions, and I'm amazed at the guys that can get out of that stuff. They get them into a position and the guy gets into a defensive position and he's trying to just avoid being pummeled to death by the other guy, and they do it somehow. They get this guy's got this guy on the ground, but he can't really get any punches in. He's trying, but he can't really punch him. And I'm like, what's the point at this point? Because this guy's, you got him, but you don't got him. And then they eventually get out and they get back up, and I don't know. It's interesting. I will give you that UFC is way more interesting than boxing to me. Boxing is
agreed.
I lost. Boxing used to be fun. I used to watch Leonard Hearns Sugar Ray Leonard Hearns fights is what I was trying to say. Sugar Ray Leonard, Thomas Hearns, those kind of fights. Marvin Hagler, those middleweight guys were fantastic to watch. Why? Lots of energy, lots of punches. It was fun to watch. The heavyweights, they dance around a little bit outside of Mike Tyson
because they can't tackle each other. Yeah,
outside of Mike Tyson, who used to beat you in the first 6 seconds or whatever, or bite your ear off if he couldn't. So
it's true.
I mean, it's only fair. All right, so I think that's all we have for today.
That's it.
It is it. And so I'm going to leave everyone with this picture because it was funny. I mean, right?
Yeah. Who's on first?
Right? Who's on first? And this is a tribute to Korean baseball. So
there you go.
Yeah, we got to go back to our Korean.
Back to the good old days of Korean baseball.
Back to when we started this thing and we were talking about Korean baseball. We're gonna have to give a Korean baseball update next week, I think. So just for fun. That is all the stuff we have. I'm not where am I at here, by the way? And right? Got to play the out music, which is the best music in the history of music. And yeah, I mean, this was the best thing we've ever found. So we're going to come back next week, Wednesday, May 26th, with more playoffs and more. It's going to be a lot of fun. You won't want to miss it. Live streaming on YouTube every weekend. We're on Twitter at Lamm Sports, on Facebook, The Best Lamm Sports Show. Email lambsports@gmail.com. We want to thank our sponsors, The Range in Yakima, Boss Kitty Yarns, and Stave & Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. This has been a Brain Rock production, a division of Lonely Tree Media, LLC. Thanks for listening.